gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest. Have a
G'day everybody and welcome to the happy hour, and g'day there to True Blue, 43 OG and DJ Creditas. How you guys going?
Hey, good.
Hello, what's going on? What's up?
Oh mate, Friday afternoon, just about to crack a beer, and yeah, what did you think about those watermelon beats?
That was mad.
On the
That's
intro?
true. That is so gangster. So
I don't know where you guys got the video from. That was awesome, man. That's like,
You can try that on your next gig, DJ. You just whip out the watermelon.
yeah, I've got to find the right melons though. Yeah, sure.
I'm a fan.
Awesome. Yeah.
And
I'd stay away from that guy's fruit platter at his barbecue, though.
Yeah, that's right.
Said his fingers all over it, mate.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're traveling around, DJ. Am I saying that right? Creditas, is that right?
Yeah. Just call me DJ, for sure, if that helps.
DJ, yeah, awesome. Yeah, cool. Good to have you on, man. I remember when you were DJing the Sydney Harbour cruise for the Aussie meetup that we had, and that was awesome. That was really cool.
Yeah.
So thanks for doing that.
Oh no, all good. Thanks for having me as well. I thought it was fun. If only I can crank up the volume a little bit, better. I think that would be even better as well, right? But that's what it is. But it was fun. Yeah, hopefully we can do that again soon.
For sure, man. No, we had some good party vibes going. Class was on the D floor, and True Blue started buying me bourbon and cokes, and I was like, yes, let's do this. And then they were like, we can't turn it up. We're like, come on.
First they try and stop our freedom of movement, and then they stop our freedom of volume and dancing. That was not very fair. Very fair.
We've got to fight for our right to party. Beastie Boys said it best, man.
It's like if you can't party, you might as well close the bar, right?
Yeah, true. I do have to ask you though, how's the kebab treating you since the last time we met?
Mate, I've had so many actual kebabs since then. Last week, I was on the Terps. I went out to the pub with my brother and got a couple of kebabs on the way home. So that was crucial. But yeah, no, that falafel, man, it's still like, still eats away at me that it wasn't a kebab. But yeah, I think everyone who was in that crew can agree that, yeah.
If you're expecting kebab and you get falafel, there's going to be problems. It's like
especially
they're different. Totally,
when it's
one's
full of onion. Sorry.
Yeah, look, I don't want to go into it. I've got like PTSD, like thinking about it now.
Falafel PTSD.
That's right, man. There was no meat. It was just anyway. Let's say hello to the chat here. We had Matty Allen saying let's go, and g'day oi to Red Squirrel on his way to work, keeping his part of the world economy spinning and turning. I actually invited Matty Allen on. He's always welcome. So if you get a chance, come on, Matty. But no dramas if you can't. Jerry made the nerdiest video thumbnails. I think that's a compliment. I'm not going to take credit for it, mate. I just literally steal them off. It's normally Poseidon that does them. So there's like just AI sort of stuff. So shout out to Poseidon for most of that stuff. Quinny Gin, what's up? What's up? Oh, side effects. G'day, mate. We need to get you on here and rep some beats as well. He does a bit of DJing, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think it's ready anytime. Hey.
Yeah, Creditas was saying he's keen to come on, so send him the link, mate.
I'll see if
I'm
I can
kind of
do
like
that.
putting him on the spot right now online, but
Yeah.
cool with it.
I know he likes drum and bass. He's like a mad drum and bass fan, and he put some cool stuff out there. So that would be cool. G'day, Claz, in the next room. Yeah. John, what's up? What is this? Been hiding my funny videos. Yeah, she likes to steal my videos. Yeah, okay. Claz has got a stream tomorrow, so
nice.
Yeah, check that out. And I think
that was
the other happy hour. Go ahead.
One that they did last week. Claz did a stream with the girls last week, and it was awesome. Great stream. If you haven't watched it, circle back and watch that stream. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
Sammy.
Yeah, that's cool.
And Crypto Style is awesome. She's just got a new channel going as well. So check out Crypto Stylist. She's I think she had the G-Gen roundtable guy on. I haven't watched it yet, but be keen to check that out.
I did the poor form of like getting all keen to watch it. I'm in the chat at the start, and then like 2 minutes in, I had to bail, and it's like But anyway, yeah, I got to catch up on it.
Yeah.
So.
Was it the kids?
Sometimes happens.
What else would it be? Yep.
It's always the kids.
They're stream blocking you. They're stream blocking.
Yeah, 100%.
Yo, I'll tell you about I organized a time to go to the gym every week, and this slot of my weekly slot had been free for the last year. I'm just like, this is the perfect slot for me to go to the gym.
Yeah.
2 weeks in, something related to the kids pops up, and it's like, okay, that slot's gone. It's like for a whole freaking year, I've been eyeing this slot off, just thinking I can make this my regular.
Bit of man time. Yep.
Yo, this is the sacrifices we make for our children.
That is true.
That's exactly
I'll be going
right.
to the gym after this. So, there's heaps of people here. So I'll just quickly run through them. Hi ho Hex, g'day. Clintrons, g'day to everybody. So, I wanted to also shout out the OG happy hour streams, the Cabana's happy hour that he has, because I've only just watched the start of it, but yeah, it looked like Crypto Vince and
awesome
Big K and I think Yash was on there. So yeah, I'm really keen to watch that later as well. But shout out to those guys.
Check it out. That's because I was listening to it today, and really good stream. And it's good to hear those guys. When I say we, Dozza stole the name Happy Hour from them.
Pretty much.
However, we did get a blessing from Cabana, who was on the first ever Happy Hour episode. So don't think for a second that we've got enemies over that side of the pond.
No, he gave us the nod. He came on and he blessed it on the first episode.
Yeah.
And I think he said that he liked the idea that you could have happy hour streams all around the world. DJ here is traveling, is in a different part of the world. I mean, we're even in Australia, we're on pretty far apart. So it's kind of cool that you can have happy hour streams pop up anyway. So yeah, I would encourage anyone to do that if they thought that they wanted to have Asian happy hour or whatever, South American happy hour or whatever. Just go for it.
That'd be cool, lads. Yeah.
Greek happy hour.
Greek Asian. That was so funny. That's the that's the joke.
Know what that is. That's a stream joke, because when DJ Creditas was in the chat, I just thought he was Greek because I thought Creditas sounded Greek.
Yeah.
So I just and he's like,
no,
you're saying
you're saying, DJ, that it actually means belief or believe, was it?
Belief, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Somi's been talking about that lately. So, looking in the charts and things, it always seems like you're sort of on the precipice of a massive move up or a massive move down, and it's like at some level you just have to believe in that you're in the right place. And if you had your what does he call it, the sort of working units, or like your fiat in some other investment, you're never going to get the returns that you would get from crypto. So you just got to wait it out and hope that
or the losses, or the losses.
That's right. Yeah, it goes both ways.
Goes both ways.
Well, I was wondering whether you guys thought that maybe we had bottomed, because looking at the Pulse chart, we had tapped that 40369 during the week, and Richard Hart had even tweeted that we're basically at levels of sort of post SEC law. When they announced the case, there was like a big capitulation sort of dump, and we're sort of touching those levels down, like on the weekly. And so 369. So you might be able to explain this better, 43. But it's just the inflation rate, the 3.69% for hex staking.
That's the relevance of the 3.69. It's the overall inflation rate for hex over time. However, it's not every year. It's sort of when it actually comes out might be over a longer time frame due to the staking, but it's calculated on a yearly basis based on the minted. Well, actually, when they say on a yearly basis, I think it's broken down into daily.
So it probably depends on what proportion of the supply is staked. Like
is minted, has ever been minted. Because even if something's been minted and then gets staked again, it still counts as being minted in the contract, and therefore it's that inflation rate is based on that principle that's already been minted, even if it gets restaked and then burnt away again.
Awesome. Yeah. So that 3.69% inflation rate. It's interesting that there's this sort of famous Tesla quote where he talks about, if you only knew the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9, then you would have, the keys to the universe, or something like that. And a lot of people are into numerology and this sort of stuff. I'm not, but I do like Tesla. And I mean, I think he may have been a little bit OCD with the way that he used to look at, these 369 numbers, and he used to only stay in hotels that was like a multiple of 3, like the hotel number. And he would do things like 3 times a day and 6 times a day and 9 times a day and weird stuff like that. So let's not put him up on a pedestal. That was probably some kind of like disorder that he had. Yeah.
Anyone who's jerking off 9 times a day has got problems.
Yeah, clearly. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Or 369. Yeah.
That's a hard act to follow every day. So yeah, he had some really good qualities, and maybe his obsession with numerology. I mean, some people like it, but yeah, not for me. But he did invent like AC, electricity and
can we just ask everyone here? I'm interested to know everyone here what they think about numerology. Is that something that you guys are interested in? I'll put my hand up and say I'm with Dozer on that. I'm like, I'm not interested in like just coincidental things, just looking like they're coincidence or whatever. I'm not really that interested in that type of stuff.
Yeah.
What about you? What about you guys?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I'm a Christian as well, so in our beliefs we don't sort of really believe in that sort of stuff either. So that's the numerology side doesn't really play a part, but that's my belief. Yeah.
What about you, DJ?
I don't really follow it that much, but obviously I came from a Chinese background, so we believe that certain numbers bring good luck and whatnot, right? Number 8,
8,
number
yes.
8 is generally a good number, but not 4, because 4 means die or death, right? So that's why if you see a lot of I wouldn't say all the Asian cultures and whatnot, but even the number plates and things like that, they would avoid having the number 4. Right, anything that with 8s and whatnot. So most likely.
Yeah, I remember the Beijing Olympics was like the 8th of August 2008, and they were like,
Yeah.
this has to be the date for the Olympics. You know, I know the Paris Olympics is coming up. I don't know if they would care so much, but interesting that in that culture they were like, no, if we're going to be doing it around about, you know, in 2008, it has to be the 8th of the 8th, 2008, because that is an auspicious date from their point of view.
It's like the US avoid like the 13th floor in their
that's weird,
high-rise buildings. Yeah, don't they? Is that
yes?
Do they? Any Americans? Any people from the US in the chat? Like, let us know. Is that true?
Yeah, I've heard that. I'm not sure how true it is, but yeah. So there's some interesting things. I tend to think that you know, humans see patterns everywhere, and it's an evolutionary advantageous thing to sort of see patterns in, you know, I think we talked about this once about like migration and weather patterns and things like that. So we tend to see patterns where the
food patterns,
yeah,
like
so
patterns of where food might emerge on a yearly basis, like dependent on the weather and things like that.
Yeah,
it's like
so if you plant your
to recognize
crops, yeah, if you plant your crops at a certain time, you know, relative to the seasons, then you get a better yield. So that would have been something that we've just sort of grown up just seeing patterns in things. So sometimes the patterns are not there. Like we just kind of go, oh, I've noticed that every time something involving the number 8, you know, I win whatever, and then therefore the number 8 is lucky. So anyway, I think you get what I'm saying. But the 369 thing, I'm not sure if Richard is a fan of numerology or whether that 369 just happens to be a number that he chose. He thought was around about the right inflation rate, but it is like, you know, in terms of you know, Tesla, a big number. So we tagged that 40369 as a bottom, like during the week. I think there was a big liquidation. So I thought, look, I'll buy some for the culture. I did it last time, which is a bit sad because now we've kind of
it goes deeper than that with Hex, though. Can I just jump in and say, like, if you look at the Hex logo, right? You look at the Hex logo, and it's got the three. It's got the three hexagons.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, if you stake for like 1 day, you get your like you get your in what's the inflation rate if you stake for 1 day? What it's yeah, you just get the base. You get the base T-share rate. But if you stake for 5 years, right, you get double. Like you get 2x, like a 2x discount, like a half discount on the T-shares. And then if you stake for the 10 years, you get it's a 3x discount. Like you divide the T by 3x. So that represents like the I think that's how the hexagons are represented like of that matter of that point. I'm not really articulating it well, but I think some of the OGs probably know what I'm talking about here. You've got like your base inflation rate, base T-share rate. You've got your at 5 years it's double, at 10 years it's triple. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Does that
so
make sense
if yeah, it fully does. So you know, excuse this giant tit that Klaus has put on this chart here, but it did seem like we wicked down. So maybe if I go on the daily, so the 369, yeah, it basically just literally wicked down to it. It was like 366, maybe 367. So that was like a really interesting, and I think because of Richard's tweet, it kind of seemed like people were trying to almost force that capitulation, sell it down, and then buy it back up to force like a capitulation wick, which was really interesting. But yeah, I don't know if I would call it the bottom. Like I'm not saying it's the bottom. I'm just saying that one way to tell that, you know, it might have bottomed would be if we start to get if we start to close candles above the 20-day MA on the daily and ideally on the weekly, but that's going to take forever. But yeah, if we can at least close on the 20, like the daily above the 20-day moving average, that's that red one there, then I think I'd be pretty comfortable to think that maybe we have bottomed. So yeah, interesting. I might be waiting to see, but there could be a few people on the sidelines sort of waiting, to deploy some capital who really have just been looking for that final capitulation.
Yeah, for sure. I've actually been quite excited about, as you guys know, we've been talking a bit, but yeah, quite excited about where the prices are, just because it's a good chance to be buying in if you've been buying higher or anything like that. So I'm glad we got back here again for another DCA, and I'm not complaining. I've got plenty of patience for it, but I know a lot of people are itching to see it move up. So
no one in their wildest, like nobody thought it was going to go to 0.5% or less, like Hex.
Yeah.
No one thought that, but and there were people complaining about how Hex was too expensive and that they couldn't, they could never get like OG bags. It's like you can, like seriously, people can get, like Dolphin T-share bags pretty cheaply.
I always use that thing of like, 1 million hex. Like that just to me was just such a thing. Like, wow, you get 1 million hex. That's amazing, And it's literally only like $5,000 now, on like the P-Hex side. And it's way cheaper obviously on E-Hex. Yeah. So yeah, it is really interesting to sort of, when you think about those bull markets and the way that it works. I thought maybe this might, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, can we look at, just on this note, because we're talking about leagues and we're talking about, if we look at the leagues on Look Into Maxi, that sort of gives us a really, it tells us.
Can you pull it up? Can you pull it up if you can? So I was just going to play this John McAfee thing because it was his birthday the other day, and there was a couple of streams going around with sort of clips going around with him. And I thought this might be an interesting, to sort of reinforce, I think, why it's important to be in crypto. So it only goes for 2 minutes. I'll just quickly play it.
What is slavery?
Can you guys hear that?
Where one person or one group owns another person's time and also owns the fruits of their productivity. You believe that slavery ended. It did not. It merely became more subtle and more refined. In the old age of slavery, it was brute force that people did not want to adapt to. Many of the slaves were killed, brutalized in order to make them work, which they did not. What happens in our system? We are slaves, and we work voluntarily. Not just voluntarily, we compete for the privilege of being higher slaves. What is the average life? You work 50 weeks out of the year for someone else or something else. You have 2 weeks off in the summertime. You're paid just enough to get by or to feel like you're getting ahead. While you're making $100,000 a year, your company or your boss is making $1 million per year off of your labor. And you want this, you accept this, you live this. Why? Because you have bought into the existing power structure that there is no other way. And for a long time, there has been no other way. But now there is. It is cryptocurrency, the blockchain, a means of freeing ourselves from this yoke that we have so willingly applied to our shoulders. Now, today, at this moment, make a decision. Take your life into your own hands. Unlock the door to your cage. Come into the light with us. Come into the light with us. Please read the Declaration of Currency Independence. It might be the most important document you've ever read. Thank you.
Yeah, so, I mean, that has some interesting sort of follow-up questions and things like that. But I like the idea that we're looking at these cryptocurrencies and people are aping in to all these different things back and forth. But at the heart of it, what we're trying to do is kind of break the shackles of just working 9 to 5 for 50 years, and we're trying to get ahead for our families. I think that's so. In a sense, you don't want to spend more than you can afford to lose and all this sort of stuff. But there is a kind of, I think, a deeper thing where a lot of people actually are in cryptocurrencies to sort of trying to make a better future for their families. And I think that's an interesting thing not to lose sight of, because sure, there's a downside risk, but the upside, it might be worth, it could be the one thing that gives you an opportunity to sort of break those shackles.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Besides, going back to the old school of swapping what you grow, or, doing that type of peer-to-peer trading, this is really the next big opportunity for people to break free. That's what I believe. And that's why I'm so keen on it, and have that belief for the future. And for me, it's not about right now at all. It is about the long-term look on it, because we got to break free somehow. And I can see currency needing to be there, a form of currency, for a long time. We're not going to be able to operate as humanity without, giving something to get something, or, that type of trading. But if we can do it on,
you need a unit of account.
Yeah.
You need a medium of exchange, a unit of account.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Unfortunately, dollars have not been a very good store of value, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and there's definitely a few opportunities, especially with the SAC wallets having such a prodigious amount of capital just sitting on the sidelines. I think that there is something unique about the PulseChain ecosystem that sort of maybe presents that opportunity. But yeah, and I mean, you were talking about the Hex staking yield and T-shares and things like that. So there's definitely opportunities there as well. So this is what you were saying, 43, about the
yes.
leagues?
So this is the PulseChain details relating to T-shares, and here are the leagues of the different T-shares. Now, obviously, nobody has all the T-shares. I don't know. I think maybe there's an entity that might have 10% if they added up their different wallets together. But I'm not 100% sure. There's definitely whales out there. I'm pretty sure. There's definitely sharks out there. But as far as T-shares go, dolphins and squid. I mean, a dolphin position, I think, is around, if you're getting the max, the best rate, the best discount rate for the T-shares, I think it's a little bit over $50,000 to get a dolphin position. But a squid position would be, obviously at the best rate possible, would be about $5,000. So that, they're so much cheaper than they have been for a long, long time. They really are so much cheaper than they have been for a long time. In the context of crypto, this has been around for 4.5 years. So they've definitely been cheaper than they have been for about 3 years. That's for sure.
Yeah. What was the price for the highest price for a T-share? From what I've looked at, was it between like 5,000 and 10,000 or something at the peak for one T-share?
One T-share was I think around $10,000. Yeah. Now, if we are to take what the price of a T-share is now, it's roughly $192.
Yeah. That is so unreal. Yeah. Massive chance to get in at a good price. And if anyone in the chat doesn't know what a T-share is or understand that, type it in there and we'll explain it to you. But for those that understand, you'd know how big that is, getting at that discount.
And I think it's important to, $192 US, right? But a max stake, not max length stake, but at just 10 years where you're getting that 3x, you divide the cost by 3, and that will give you how much that same T-share will cost you out for 10 years. That's $64 for a T-share. I'm not saying go and stake something for 10 years. You know, you got to do what's best for you. Is it okay for you to stake for 10 years? Is it okay for you to stake for 5 years? You make a decision. That's what this whole contract, or you just hold it liquid. That's the whole point of the Hex contract. You hold it liquid, or you stake it. You know,
some people can't hold it liquid. That's the thing. So that's why they need the staking to protect them from themselves. You know, so
the yields on the longer the yields, the way the T-share rate edges up. Sorry, not T-share rate. The daily payout edges up over time. It really like that second 5-year period, the yields just start, like what your return is in terms of like a yearly payout for a stake, in terms of Hex that you put in. Like if you compare how much you put in and how much you're getting on a yearly basis, it starts to be like seem ridiculous, you know. It starts to be really, really, really good.
I'm just conscious of the fact that DJ's got to disappear, and I just wanted to give him a quick opportunity to sort of say some things. So, DJ, what is your favorite thing about PulseChain at the moment? Like, are you getting into the meme coins, the DGen sort of side of things, or are you just, you know, doing yield farming, or what's your sort of favorite thing?
I think, you know, the main thing for me about PulseChain is really the community, right? And you know, because if I compare PulseChain and Ethereum, PulseChain is way more affordable for the likes of myself to get into things, to start learning and whatnot, right? For me, you know, a lot of you guys are doing awesome job in the community, sharing videos and whatnot. For me, the way I learn it is to try to build something, and that's how I got into, you know, building meme coins and whatnot. I'm not going to show those coins and things like that, but you know, that got me into learning.
Feel free.
I don't,
yeah, talk about it. I was going to ask you about it. Let us know what the idea was. All right.
I remember. So I remember you were shilling a sort of a token. Was it Lyft? I think it was a while back from that, or maybe I'm not sure if that you sort of were just a fan. You were just a fan of that token, but that was the paralyzed Mexican sort of one.
Yeah, that was the paralyzed Hexagon one. So I was a fan, and then obviously one of the investors as well. So I basically created my own coin. Probably about over a month ago. So it's called it's called Donpan. So it's basically a mascot of a Japanese biggest discount store. So whenever you go to Japan, right, you walk past this store, you hear this catchy music and whatnot, and you have to go stop by there. And basically, it's like one of the biggest store, and I think they have like over 600 plus stores worldwide. And you know, which is awesome. They sell basically everything. You can find everything there. So next time if you guys go to Japan, I'm sure you will spot those, you know, store. It's called, the store itself is called Don Quixote.
As in short, like that famous story. Yeah. So and when he fights like windmills and stuff, he thinks they're dragons, and he's like hallucinating, and he's fighting windmills and stuff.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, so I guess that's interesting. So people can make their own meme coins on PulseChain. That's been a huge success in Solana with like the pump.fun and all this sort of stuff. I feel like the problem with the Solana sort of culture is that they cheat, like they just sell on a 2x just every time. So maybe meme coins on PulseChain haven't really had a chance to have their run, but when they do, I think there'll be probably a lot less cheating. That's my gut feeling. And particularly the Tangan guys, they try and do the liquidity providing, that sort of stuff. So cool, man.
And I feel like, you know, for anyone, even if you don't have a tech background, right? I think you know, that's one way to learn. I mean, for you to deploy a contract and whatnot, obviously, you know, the sites like goldpulse.com or even 9inch as well, you know, you can basically just deploy something easily through their websites, right? Now, obviously, if you wanna try to avoid that and try to, you know, do something from scratch as well, have a look at Open Zeppelin. So Open Zeppelin, they have a wizard that we can get you going, right? Like if you want to go and look into more on what the code does and whatnot, things are so much easier these days.
Definitely.
If you're interested in looking at, you know, building, I suppose, and obviously, you know, like PulseChain, I think it's an awesome ecosystem to get people started, right? It's affordable, and whatnot. So that's obviously that's my 2 cents worth, and that's how I learn.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, cool. Well, I think that's interesting that that's how some people get into PulseChain, and that is that the ease of just these token factories and making their own meme coins. But yeah, I mean, I'm more of a Richard Hart fan, like the stuff that he creates, and sort of but I'm happy to dabble small amounts of money into other things for fun. But in terms of like the main stacks, I sort of generally tend to stick to RH stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. There was an interesting.
And probably I just wanna. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
Probably something I want to add around PulseChain as well. Is right now I'm just in Singapore, just visiting, to be honest, and I'm just trying to see whether there's a community in Singapore that really focus on PulseChain, and whatnot. And I haven't been able to find anything at all. So perhaps we just have to do something else to try to attract some of the Asian communities as well.
I think I know where they might be
in Asia. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
There's a place called 4 Floors in Singapore. If you go there, maybe you'll find some.
This sounds like he's steering you towards a brothel or something. Like, I would not trust this at all. This sounds dodgy as.
I
can just go to the 4th floor and see what happens. Go to the 4th floor and see what happens.
How do you know about this place, 43?
Because when I went to Singapore, my friend took me there, and dude,
that's maybe a story for.
Bro, I had to leave. I had to leave straight away because I was just like, I'm just like, I don't know if it's like, damn. Ooh, I'll get out of here.
Dude, DJ's ordering an Uber right now. I can see it.
That's right.
I am actually trying to Google.
Just check for the what do they call it? The voice box, the Adam's apple there. Just watch out for those ones. So yes, that's interesting. I think there was a Hex in Asia stream that used to happen. I used to watch it.
Ex-Asians.
Yeah.
With
like
middle class working man.
Bono was on it, and
middle class working man.
Yeah. I think some of them are based in I think some of them are based in Japan and Philippines and whatnot. So I'm in the Telegram group as well, and I thought one of the guys might be in Singapore, but no one responded, so I probably thought that they might.
Oh, you know who might be in Singapore? Uncle Kevin. There's a guy called Uncle Kevin.
All right. Let me find out.
Somi's in the house. Here we go. G'day, Somi. How you going, mate? Great to see everyone here. Feels like the final stretch to go before global liquidity rises and we get bull market continuation. That's interesting. So there's Somi talks about these liquidity cycles, and there's been some changes. I think the interest rates just came back. So sorry, the CPI just came back, like the inflation figures. It was meant to be 3.1% they were expecting, and it came back at 3%. So there seems to be a bit of a bullish sentiment going on at the moment. But that the bull market, I want to talk about that actually, because somebody's been saying some really interesting things about bull markets and just that concept of a bull market. PulseChain community has 170 content creators and 70 streamers. Yeah, at least. Yeah, I'd say that's probably even an understatement. There's that many people out there, and when the price starts going up, it gives us something to cheer about. Everyone will start coming back out of the woodwork. But yeah, thanks, Somi, for your comments. Appreciate that. Just so while I remember, so this concept of bull market and bear market, I tend to think that it's maybe a little bit simplified. And I know that some people have this thing where it's like, the bear is just from all-time high to all-time low. It goes for about a year, and then everything else is bull market. But I'm starting to think a little bit more in terms of just uptrends and downtrends now. And because I realized that BTC has been going on a bull market, sure, since like the year after all-time high. But there's only been sort of sectors of the altcoins that have been sort of bubbling at different times. And I suspect it's because you sort of have like a closed system where there's so many coins being created, particularly with Solana, that it's kind of taking away that economic energy from the other altcoins. So there's only so much capital to go around. And it's kind of like that dilution effect where, like we noticed with PulseChain, where everyone was complaining that, I think it was Deepcatcher and the guys were creating all these different tokens. And it's like, well, if you're buying Deci and Trio and you're not buying Hex, then that's taking purchasing power away from Hex. But if you like times that by 1 million, and you sort of think about how Solana and the hundreds of thousands of tokens being created per day, all of that economic energy is then sort of diluting, and it's being taken away from a fewer number of coins that were in there in the past. So because there was less coins in the past, there would have been a lot more opportunities for those coins to go up heaps. But now there's so many coins that capital sort of spread a little bit thin. So only certain pockets can actually bubble at a certain time. So this concept of bull market is really interesting because, yeah, you have Bitcoin bull market and then Ethereum and maybe a couple of the other big market cap ones. But in terms of altcoins, you kind of only sort of see AI sector pop, real world assets pop, GameFi, DeFi, at certain times. And then because there's not enough, it's like a closed system where there's not more people coming in. Once you get that influx of people like the normies in a true bull market, then there's more capital to go around and everything can go up. So yeah, I was just wondering, what you guys think about that in terms of, do you think, with the way that the bull markets are sort of working, you're with thinking that the alts are going to pop sort of mid to the end of next year? Do you think we're only going to see certain sectors, or do you think everything's going to go up because we're going to have like an injection of new people into that system?
Can I interrupt for a quick second? Sorry, I had to go, unfortunately, guys.
That's
but
cool.
Thanks for having me. It's been really awesome.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Quick chat. But till next time, I hope we can have a proper chat again in the future.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah. Likewise.
Always welcome on.
Enjoy your holiday,
how I
mate.
look 43 OG. Which part of me is great? Which part
man,
of me is Asian?
We're gonna have that souvlaki sometime, man.
Sure, for sure. No worries.
Awesome.
All right.
Make sure it's not a falafel.
Thanks, boys.
Awesome.
Take it easy.
Thanks, DJ.
Right.
Love your work,
Thank you.
mate.
See ya.
See you around next time.
Yes.
Bye.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do you see what I'm saying with this like closed system, and there's only so much capital, and then different pockets popping off?
You can almost take it like we saw it live, like with the start of PulseChain. That first 48 hours, it was like it was a closed circuit, so anyone could do was just swap coins, and they couldn't actually bring in new capital. And I think that's almost like the bubble at the moment, where it's like, we can bring in fiat and stuff like that, but it's still a fairly closed circuit. Like you're saying, people can only afford so much, and people have deployed a lot of capital. So definitely, once the retail so-called market comes in, and every man and his dog and taxi driver and stuff is starting to jump in, I think we can't see anything but a big run up. But me, I'm hyper bullish about everything at the moment. But yeah, that's sort of how I see it. Is we're waiting for that bubble to burst and people to just start flooding in.
I'm going to give like a macro perspective, like from the perspective of the masses. I think once Bitcoin hits that $100,000 mark, like for the US and maybe even Europe, 100,000 euros, which will be around the same time, you'd think. I think that is going to set off this thing that, like, look at this thing. Wasn't it like $20,000 not so long ago, and now it's like 100? I think it's going to set off that thing in the retail segment for crypto, and then people will go off looking for what else they can get into. Also, at that point in time, there's always people taking profits, and if history is an indicator in the crypto markets, what sometimes seems to happen is that people will sell those blue chip crypto assets and then go and put it into things that haven't seen those gains yet. And because market caps and liquidity is so much lower in those other cryptos, they can pump a lot easier. I mean, that's what I've observed over the years. So maybe that's going to happen, because also let's bear in mind that it seems like now that what's going on in the legacy markets is that we're almost, what I'm hearing, it's like we're almost back to like 2008 period of that sort of thing in the markets. So if they're going to have to print money in a big way, then inevitably I believe that some of that money is going to come into crypto, and it's going to make a difference. We'll see what happens. I mean, these are just my perspectives. It's definitely not financial advice. You should not be taking financial advice off a dude wearing his hat backwards, on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, it's a very casual chat. That's it.
Not financial advice at all. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, I travel it like a little bit here and there, and I tend to try and pop the radio on in different places just to see what they say, especially I hate listening to the news, but the financial sort of reports and stuff, I just like to listen in to see their sentiment. And there was a stage where they were mentioning crypto. I've been in basically since the end of the last bull run. And so they were talking about it in always, the price of Cardano, has come down or has gone up, or Solana and whatever. Yeah. And at the moment, there's no talk of crypto at all, on the financial things.
Yeah.
Even, we like Adam Stokes here in Australia, and I know a lot of people overseas. He does stuff for the TV when crypto's, running hot, or when he gets the call. And so he's even said, like, he used to get like a 1 minute slot, and then when crypto started booming, all of a sudden they gave him like a 5 or 10 minute slot, and now it's down to now it's down to like almost nothing. So you can just see that sentiment, at the moment.
The sentiment,
and,
it's really interesting, because like there's that thing where if you get good news in a bull market, everyone gets pumped and then the price goes up. Good news in a bear market, and I mean, I'm using these terms really loosely, maybe I should just say in a downtrend or whatever, but good news in a downtrend doesn't tend to do anything. Like, people just like, so some judges just come out and said that 80% of all cryptos are commodities, or was it, I can't remember who said it recently, and it's like no one cares. And it was like, but so when things are going down, like, good news, but you can tell when that, just by that sentiment. Because if that was in a hyperphase or parabolic phase of a bull market, people would lose their shit. Like, you'd hear, Sony or whatever was going to create an exchange. Everyone just went, good luck, whatever. It's like, what? Sony's pretty big, right? Shouldn't we care about this? It's like, nah.
By the way, just on that point of the CFTC, how crazy is it that you've got like the CFTC saying 80% of cryptos are commodities?
Yeah.
And then you've got another government agency, US government agency,
of the same government,
SEC, saying like suing like 80, I don't know how many there are, probably not 80%, but saying that like suing the big ones, like almost every big crypto is getting sued by the SEC for being a security. Now, you cannot it can't be both, right? It can't be both. So what you have is you've got two agencies with differing ideas about what crypto is, and they're both funded by the taxpayer and government debt, right? So they're just essentially just wasting dollars, just wasting them. And it's not,
it's crazy, man, to think that
it's ridiculous.
We are funding, or the American people, I guess, they're funding through their tax.
Well, we fund it as well
because the same government that are in opposition to each other.
Well, one branch probably wants to make money from buying and trading the crypto and making the most of it, and the other one's trying to make money from crypto by taking it down and suing everyone. So
100% true, Blue. So at the end of the day, the motivation is always greed, and these guys you ever wonder why these things are the way they are? It's because they're trying to fill their pockets in some regard.
It's not only that. It is just the model of government agencies. It's a very, very difficult thing, man, because
it's incompetence as well. Like it's that
it is also if you just like take it down to a local government level, right? If you've got local governments or departments or whatever, or even state governments. I'm speaking from a perspective of Australia, federal government. Yeah. There are departments that get an allocation in a budget, right? Now that department or that agency tries to use all the money, because if they don't use all the money, they don't get the same amount of money next time.
The budgets don't burn themselves. Yeah.
So what they do is they try to use all the money and then they ask for more money, right? So it's the exact opposite of an efficient system like a business, which is trying to do the opposite. What a business is trying to do is it's trying to get the same outcome more efficiently for less money. Sure. So that is I think it's a fundamental problem with our system, that there is nothing that makes these agencies want to be more efficient. Like there's nothing like really powerful that makes them want to be more efficient in the same. I mean, you've got efficiency dividends and things like that governments sometimes do, but it's not on the same level as a business, which is always just trying to be more efficient.
That's actually a really interesting point because, I 100% agree. Sorry, I'm just trying to do two things at once. And I saw an interesting thing that was from Warren Buffett. Just see if you can hear this.
I can end the deficit in 5 minutes. How? You just pass a law that says that anytime there's a deficit of more than 3% of GDP, all sitting members of Congress are ineligible for re-election. Yeah. Now you've got the incentives in the right place, right? So it's capable of being done. And they're trying to use the incentive now that we're going to blow your brains out, America, in terms of your debt worthiness over time. And that's being used as a threat. A more effective threat would be just to say, if you guys can't get it done, we'll get some other guys to. I can end the deficit in 5 minutes.
So that's an interesting concept. Is actually holding politicians accountable in some sort of using a metric, like saying that if the deficit went below 3%, I think you said, of the GDP, then you're ineligible for re-election. I was like, now that's some accountability in politics that I'd like to see. Then all of a sudden, maybe some government spending wouldn't just be so crazy, like the way that they spend, because like you say, that they have to burn these budgets, otherwise they won't get the same allocation of capital for the next year's budget. Yeah. So they think, oh, well, we'll just buy some crazy shit. Like, doesn't even matter.
That's not what they're here to. The reason, their reason for existence is to essentially serve the people and make sure that the people have like better services, better this and that. That is not automatically going to happen by just spending more, which is so often how it's articulated by people in like just throwing money at it and it's going to be better. Yeah. That is rarely the case from what I've seen over the last like 20, 30 years that I've been like watching it and paying attention.
Yeah, I see it everywhere. And I remember the sad thing is the American military expenditure. I mean, these are old numbers because I just remember them from quite a few years ago, but it used to be about $1 trillion. So it worked out to something like 2 billion plus a day that they had to spend in terms of military expenditure, right? If you had to spend 2 billion a day, and you're thinking about, you got to buy a lot of cruise missiles and Apache helicopters and subs aren't cheap, But then the next day you get another 2 billion, and then the next day you get another 2 billion, and I know that, simplifying it immensely, but there's so much money that they don't want those allocations to go down, right? So then it kind of almost incentivizes them to start wars, because then they have to outfit the troops, they have to buy more F-18s, and then I
think it's more insidious. mate.
as well. And then people will take advantage of that as well. And then they channel that money into like.
I want to know
remember
who's invested
trading?
in the military industrial complex, who's produced
like
weapons.
Halliburton.
Who's invested in those? And I wonder if of the politicians that are making decisions.
100% was, and I think George Rumsfeld, back when they were looking for weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
Was it Donald?
Yeah, but Rumsfeld, definitely Cheney. I mean, there's a whole thing about, there's documentaries on Halliburton and stuff that it's just crazy. And so that funneling of money, and then having to burn those budgets, it just seems like it also pushes international policy and government policy towards war. But it's not them that's going out to fight. They're not the ones getting shot in the neck or whatever, or their sons. It's other people that are paying that price. It's really quite terrible when you think about it. And like, I'm all for soldiers and stuff protecting freedoms, and I've got family members and stuff that, and I have a lot of respect for people who actually serve. But it's the policymakers that I'm sort of having a dig at there. So anyway, maybe we need to be holding politicians to account more with their government spending, and this concept of just always having to fill the budget and then create bigger budgets for next year. It's like banks always just getting some ridiculous 100, or say it's like $1 billion profit per quarter, or whatever it is, $10 billion profit for the year. And then they think, we have to get more profit next year. We have to always build on that. And it makes it unsustainable.
Well, this is the argument that you'll hear from people. I mean, I've heard Adam Stokes make this argument on numerous occasions about Bitcoin being a global reserve currency and that sort of thing. I'm of the belief, truly of the belief, that I think the Hex contract is a better system or model for that sort of thing. And I'm not saying actually the contract that we're interacting with, but I'm saying, like, if countries were to deploy that contract and use it, and then be the OA, so to speak, and use it in that way, and that could almost be like a pension plan for people within a country. I actually think it's it would be a really good system to use, because it's.
But in terms of a store of value, you can't have a currency.
But you could
down
but you could, though, because you wouldn't have those fluctuations if it was a government, if it was the currency. The only reason we have those fluctuations, right, is because money can go out and back in so easily. But when it's a country that's deployed the contract, and that is the the currency that's being used, it's different. It's a different situation. You're not going to have the outflows and inflows. What people are going to be caring about is the fact that they can lock up their hearts or their hex, and then in a few years' time they'll get more of that currency.
Yeah, I understand.
It's a different. It would be a different dynamic if it was used as a currency for a country. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I'm not a Bitcoiner, but Anyway, but
look at your veins.
Adam, I don't know Adam Stokes' sort of opinion on it, but I understand that their idea is that the reason what makes Bitcoin a hard currency is that the only way for it to come into existence is by proof of work. So it requires energy, and like 90% of it's already mined, or to buy it off someone that's already. So it's hard to create it. So I think that's the problem with the way that our monetary system works, is that we can just create money out of thin air. Well, I say the central banks create money out of thin air. They just do this swap for government bonds. And then when those central banks loan it out, they add interest to it. So then those banks add interest to it again. So the total amount of inflated money that's out there far greatly exceeds the principle that it was used to create it in the first place, because it's added that interest to it along the way. There's actually not enough money to pay off that debt that was created. So then you inherently have this sort of system, like a closed loop system, where there's a deficit. So people are competing for labor units or whatever, but there's always going to be a deficit. And that's why we have recessions. And that's why people have, that sort of things happen.
And then you've got a handful of people determining the monetary policy for that country.
Yeah, and they're unelected. I think a lot of people got a big problem with central banks, me included.
Yeah, I actually don't have a problem with being able to print money out of nothing. I actually do not have a problem with that whatsoever. I think that everyone should be able to create money. I think it should be a free market, and everyone should be able to create it. And then people decide what they think is best, and I don't think it should be just governments that are allowed to do that. I like a system where everyone can do it.
It does, but
and
if the inflation is too high, it does dilute the people who originally had it. You know what I mean?
If you make Dogecoin, right, and it's really, really good, and it's a good store of value, well, the people might decide that that's a good, it's a good way to store their value in Dogecoin, right? Now, it's unlikely that would happen.
Yeah,
over the long term, well, it's unlikely.
X has the interesting way of doing it because it's the trade-off between the inflation and then the lockup. So then you're sort of, it's like you're borrowing money from the
country that did it, a country that deployed the Hex contract, and they probably wouldn't call it the Hex contract. They'd probably call it something else, right? But then use that as their monetary policy. I think that would be a really and someone's written in the chat, yeah, it's too honest. Yeah, it would be too honest, wouldn't it? But the beauty of it would be that people who delay gratification in the currency would be rewarded long term, and maybe in the Hex contract the yields are quite high. They are quite high, but that's because such a small percentage is locked up for the future. Bear in mind that if all of it was locked up, the yields would be much, much, much lower. Much, much, much lower.
Just shout out to Randolph Boss Player. I haven't seen you here before, but yeah, cool. Some interesting points here. Show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcome. So that might be, I think, a Charlie Munger quote. But yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? That most politicians, I think, they're incentivized by getting re-elected and lining their own pockets. So that's my maybe a little bit cynical take, but I like to think of it as just more a little bit skeptical, because based on the evidence that I've seen so far, I'm yet to see sort of politicians that don't behave in that sort of incompetence and corrupt sort of Venn diagram thing. There's only a very small portion that I've seen actually try and do real good things.
And money complicates it, doesn't it? Especially when it can be created out of thin air. And that's why, I mean, I'm of the belief that I would like to separate money from state, just like religion has been separated from state in most of a great portion of the world. I think it would be beneficial to people, to the human beings, to you and I
agree.
If governments didn't have that stranglehold and didn't use it in the way that they do, which is basically it results in a handful of people determining monetary policy for the world, and they've got us by the short and curlies, unfortunately.
I mean, even the central banks, it's not even the government. If you look at it like that, so there's an interesting John McAfee quote, and I can put it in the chat or whatever, but you could check it out. But there's a video where he talks about the deep state. And I know it sounds like really conspiratorial when you hear, the deep state, that sounds like bullshit, But he was just using the definition of a sort of a branch of, or I won't even say a branch of government, but like a system or a structure that's in place that is unelected, that has control over your sort of day-to-day. And I think the central bank is a great example of that, because you've got to pay your mortgage and they set the interest rates And you know, there was that thing where I think it was Jerome Powell, the guy who sets it for the Federal Reserve in the US, and he was saying that he hadn't had a meeting with Biden since 2022. He hadn't even had a meeting with him.
Yeah.
So like they're like just almost autonomous. They're just
exactly.
they're doing their own thing. And there's no checks and balances. And it's funny because you have in Australia, when the interest rates go up, the party that's not in power blames the party that is in power for the rise in interest rates and the cost of living. And everyone's like, oh, you know, I can't believe you let the interest rates go up so much. And then when they get in power, if they go up even higher, they go, well, it's actually not up to us.
Yeah.
And it's like they change their tune real quick. And then the other guys who were saying it wasn't up to them are then pointing the finger going, well, it wasn't as high when we were in power. As if they're not just completely, you know, ineffective or sort of, I'm not sure what that word is, but, you know, they actually don't control those interest rates at all.
Yeah, they're all just playing the game for themselves to keep themselves in, or, you know, being able to put the money where they want it. It's not actually a fair sort of slay when they're having a go at each other. It's pretty ridiculous. And whoever, you know, Jerome Powell, if he hasn't had a meeting with Biden, I'm sure he's had a meeting with whoever the actual president is, you know, whoever's actually running the place, because you can't tell me Biden's running the place. Like,
bro, I mean, honestly, I've seen some, we've talked about this a lot, you know, over the last year or so. And it seems like now the media is catching up to it going, oh, Biden's not looking great. Maybe he's got dementia. And it's like,
oh, yeah.
What? We've talked about this for like a year.
Exactly.
Are you guys
seen
not
the
watching?
videos from today?
I did, yeah. So, well, he referred to Kamala Harris as Vice President Trump.
Yeah.
And he
Can
referred to.
Can I put him up?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't want to get political and stuff.
All right. All right.
It's pretty funny. It is pretty funny.
Yeah. All right, I'll put this meme up. Hang on a sec.
Have you got the Zelensky one? That's funny.
Oh yeah, I've got these. Hang on a sec. Just quickly, sorry to hijack everything.
It's a bit cringe, though.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Here, this one.
Oh, hang on.
And now I want to hand over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. And now I want to hand it over to the president, who has as much
didn't see the look on Zelensky's face.
Determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin.
How
you got to have the one where you see Zelensky.
Yeah, here we go. Watch this
one. What's that one?
Now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. We've got beat President Putin.
He's like, nah, bro. Oh,
Nah, bro.
What is going on, honestly? Here's a meme to go with that. Give me all the powers.
Oh, no. That's good. That's good.
Just the last one.
That is good.
This is the last one that Dozza was talking about.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president.
Oh my God!
I wouldn't.
They focused the camera in on the staff, and the staff, when he says that, Vice President Trump, and they just go, and then like you can see them just going, but almost laughing. Thinking, fuck's sake.
Yeah, this is all
every
over.
Day. It's every day. There's a new one every day. It's like, are they real? Are these things real? It's every day. There's a new gaff every day. He's just like, it's just like they're coming every single day. It's crazy.
I don't know how this is actually feasible and like moral in like for you know the US or worldwide or anything, for that person to be leading. This is just, it's not okay. Do you know what I mean?
He needs to be chilling out, man. He should be chilling out. He should be taking the dog for a walk. He should be like just
He
you
should-
know,
yeah.
you should
Someone
be
should be
relaxing.
bingo.
This should
He should be
not
playing
be-
bingo.
Feeding him through a tube, like, you know. Sorry. Anyway, hey, while we're on that, what do you guys think of that? Did you see? Did you see Trump is going to the Bitcoin conference
Ooh.
coming up? Yeah.
Let me just check my OMG chart. Hang on. No, no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So he's speaking there, and apparently someone else is as well, from the government or whatever. So that's that's bullish.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, look, there's been a bunch of stuff going on. The German government have been selling their Bitcoin and then buying it back and then selling it again. It's like they're literally just trading, but I think they have quite a bit less than they started.
The Bitcoin coming back, just to clarify, from what I've heard, that's actually what they haven't sold coming back into their wallet. They're not actually buying it. So
God, that makes more sense.
That's just
It's UTXO, right?
Yeah, they're not actually trading it. They're just bringing it back. Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. Because I was looking at this chart and I was going, it looks like they started off with 2.3 billion in USD, and now they're down to about 580 million. So unless it was just this little top up, but yeah, I was a bit confused when I saw that report. But they've been dumping. So, but the Mt. Gox stuff hasn't actually hasn't hit the market yet. It hasn't. Like they haven't actually started sending it to the wallets, as far as I know.
No, I think some people have got their fiat amount if they chose to get it in dollars. But yeah, the Bitcoin hasn't come yet.
Well, I just wanted to quickly, just because we're talking about, this is Ethereum, I just want to talk about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So there was a monthly support sort of range, I guess, which it looks like we'd broken down. And then I was like, well, hang on, we're only just into start of the month. We shall see whether it actually comes back up. It might close the candle, above. And it kind of has. So that's interesting. And, there's always going to be some sort of bounce. But yeah, my concern was that we had dropped below this 20 MA on the weeklies and they started to cross over. And then if you look on the daily, there's actually the 200-day moving average in yellow that we broke down below. And then now it looks like we're actually getting rejected off that 200-day moving average. So we've got this unenviable situation where you have the 10-day, the 20-day, the 50 days all inverted. And now the 10 has gone below the 200-day, and it looks like we're getting rejected off this 200-day. So we may not be out of the woods. I know there's been a lot of bullish stuff happening with people saying we're back and everything, but this is still kind of looking like it's rolling over a little bit. I mean, maybe the downtrend just goes down to like 50K or something like that. It doesn't go all the way. Well, what's this support here? This is like 52. So it's like, I don't think it's like going to crash down like completely, but it could go to
like 49. It could go down to 49 or something like that. And then people see the 4 and they're like, time to get back in. Or
Please do.
The people actually think it's going to go down into the 40s or the low 40s or the 30s? Is that what they're thinking?
No, I've heard everyone basically say that it's just business as usual and it's just a minor retracement and then it's just going to keep going up only.
How high did it get? Did it get to 74? Like, what did it get to?
Well, it wicked up to 70, 73.5, 74.
73.5.
But I mean, I'm just saying, like, in terms of, people talk about bull markets and bear markets, and I'm sort of saying, I think it's more complex than that. I don't actually think, I think humans just like to simplify things into binary things. We tend to be, I'm for this team and you're in that team, and we just form tribes and things like that. And so we look at things and we just sort of say, it's either this or it's this. But I think it's actually way more complicated than that. I don't think it's just we're in a bull market or a bear market. I think even within a bull market, you can have downtrends.
I agree.
And
yes, but usually the downtrends aren't more than 30 to 40%. Like for Bitcoin in a bull market, usually they don't go beyond like 30 to 40%, right? That's like almost unheard of for a Bitcoin bull market. So based on that, you would think that whilst it might go down to the high 40s, you can't imagine it going down to it's like hard to believe it would go down to the 30, like into the 30,000s. It seems like, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but just based on prior dips in the bull run.
Yeah, I mean, you can get this sort of double top thing happening where this happened in also.
What was that? That was the double top.
Sorry, actually, this is the big double top that happened in 2017.
No.
When it broke down, but the recent one that we saw.
Hang on. That's not the double top in 2017. The top was just the top there.
Oh,
and then
sorry, that was just the top.
Market.
You're right.
That was the bear market.
This is the double top here. Sorry.
That was the double top. How much was that drop? Just let's what was the bottom after that first top? How far down did that go? What did it wick down to?
You're talking about the double top in 2021.
In 2021, it went down
to the weekly close or to wick. Well, actually, 55%.
It went down from
wick to wick. It's 55% on the weeklies.
But it didn't, like, let's be honest, it didn't then go on and make crazy new highs or anything. It just sort of went higher again and then pissed off, you know?
Yeah, we got scammed. This was the whole super cycle thing that never happened. Yeah.
It was just a double top. It was basically a double top, you know? I mean, I don't think we can say, it wasn't a blow off top. That second one was not anything crazy.
I mean, we're still on track for this 4 year. So this is where I sort of thought 11th of November that we would be breaking the all-time high. So we kind of broke the previous all-time high prematurely in my mind. So then I sort of thought, at this point, it doesn't necessarily mean it's up only, 80, 90K. It could easily have just, well, as it's turned out, it's sort of come down here. But it could just sort of, do this sort of thing where it still reaches that previous all-time high around about that November date. So I'm not suggesting it's going to go way down, but it does to me look like it's
I think feasible to go to that high 40s, like 49, and then come back after
even
that.
Low 50s.
Low 50s, yeah. Possible. But
we shall see.
Not necessarily what's going to happen. Who knows?
No. It's just for me. I just don't like it seeing getting rejected of this 200-day moving average. I'd like to see it close above the 20, and then start to see them back stacked.
There's a couple of comments in the chat there, and also I'm at that point where I'm going to have to head on off. Not very nice talking to you guys, and nice talking to meeting DJ Creditas when he was on earlier.
He's headed to the fourth floor. See that in the comments?
That's right. He's up to the fourth floor. Awesome. Thanks.
Nice.
Thanks, 43.
All right,
good
guys. Have a good weekend. I'll see you
Legendary.
next time.
Yeah.
See you, man.
Cheers.
Have a good weekend. Cheers, buddy. Awesome. Yeah, that's interesting. Because we were talking about how this Mt. Gox selling sort of created this situation that we're in now. We're kind of made the charts look a little bit like we're heading out of an uptrend. But this zero edge comment, it's put the fear into people, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So this comment here, Ethereum has lost 60 billion in market cap because Mt. Gox is selling 9 billion in Bitcoin. That was interesting. So in that dump that happened basically last Friday, Ethereum lost 60 billion in market cap apparently, and then Mt. Gox is only selling 9 billion in Bitcoin. So maybe the market over responded, over corrected.
I think so. I think all the investors in Ethereum know how tied it is to Bitcoin, so they knew that it would come down. So they might get a chance to reload.
But look, it's the exact same chart in Ethereum, so you can just look at it and say, on the dailies, it's the 10 and 20 the wrong way around, and we're getting rejected off the 200. So, look, interesting to see how it plays out. But yeah, there was one other thing as well I noticed. Gerardo, welcome back, Gerardo, because I haven't seen him for a while, but he's
good to
got
see him stream again.
Yeah, awesome to see him streaming again. I did sell my Mintra sack like the second it came out, so apologies. Like literally as soon as I got access to my mint, I cheated it.
Well done. You did a good move.
Anyway, apologies to anyone, but that was just like, I don't think it ended up performing well, but it may have.
Yeah, that's the beauty of this market. You can do as you please. Everyone, you're welcome to sell. We know that the sell button's there. That's what it's there for, to sell whenever you want. So yeah,
I think just when the sacks were going down, I was just sacking for everything.
Yeah.
And then I looked at it later, going, now that the prices have come down, actually that's a really interesting point I'll talk about next. But so Gerardo was just saying that if, say, the OA wallets, or SAC wallets, let's call them, actually took that 170,000 ETH and then put it into the Lido staking pools, the yields are about 3.16 API right now. So they could earn 441 ETH, which is about $1.35 million per month, or 16.4 million per year at current ETH prices.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's really interesting to think about. Just staking that ETH might actually, assuming you could do it with like minimal contract risk.
Yeah, I was about to say, in my opinion, that's picking up pennies in front of freight trains, in the way of, like Richard says, in the way of the contract risk for 3% is probably not worth it.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't do it with the entire stack though, right? Like you wouldn't put all 170,000.
Yeah. But if you didn't, then you wouldn't get the same yield that he's talking about either. So
yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, you still get
an
this API.
Point. Yeah.
Look, it's just a talking point. It's just
sure. Yeah.
It could happen.
Yeah.
It means that you could see an extra 1.35 million in buy pressure per month. How realistic that is like you say, up for contention.
Yeah.
And also dip catcher, which was made me think of it when you were just saying about that, the SAC prices and things. So I think the average SAC price for Pulse was when Hex was around about 13.5 cents.
Yep.
So if you look at it from that point of view, PLS down to 404 is, it's only down, I guess it's like 60% from the SAC price, depending if if you didn't have the multiples and things like that, the multiplier. So that's the equivalent of, like say 40% of 13.5 cents. It must be around about 5.5 cents. So selling Pulse now, if you had used your Hex at the time at 13.5 cents to buy that Pulse, it's actually you selling Hex at 5.5 cents.
Yeah.
So that people sort of saying, why would anyone be selling? It's like, I mean, maybe not for us, but for maybe some of the big players, because it's almost like preserved its value in a sense.
That's for sure.
Compared to the actual Hex price. So yeah, that's something to give you an idea of like how, why these things are happening.
Yep. And some people that have lost faith in it or conviction, they might see another coin they want to go to. And if they're in what they think is a profit and they see, like you said, they sacked at a good price. Yeah, they've got that capital there. They want to move over, and so be it. Yeah.
Yep. I was just going to see if there's what was going on in the chat, but then I know you've got to disappear early today.
Yeah, it's cool.
And so do I.
Yeah.
But if you want to check out some meme coins.
Yeah, cool. Just one thing quickly. I don't want to skip over. Clintron's made a comment there that I'll just bring up quickly. Just
oh yeah, please do. I was just about to go through.
It was just about what I mentioned. We were talking about numerology. Where are we? There we go. So
Oh,
Clintrons, I just didn't want to leave that blank and think I was ignoring you. But yeah, happy to talk about that anytime. Probably not on a stream like this, but yeah, you know, there is a few things with numbers that I know are, you know, part of Christianity and stuff, like the, you know, 7 days resting on the seventh day, and there's a 7-year sort of cycle. But in the way of actual numerology and believing certain numbers might mean good luck or whatever, I don't think there's a lot of that, but I'm open to learn. So if you want to message me or something, I'm like keen as to talk about it. So just didn't want to think we're ignoring it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not something that I attribute, you know, certain value to any numbers, but I do find it interesting that people do and different cultures do. I find that fascinating.
It definitely, yeah.
Same with about that. The Chinese have that thing with the 8s, like DJ was saying, because I know people who have sold houses on streets that had 8s in the street number. Yeah, that got more buyers, like Chinese investors and things, because it was like an auspicious house, and I'm like, you guys are taking the piss.
Yeah, well, so you could take it. That's like not an arbitrage, but you could like take advantage of that. You buy houses at a good price on those numbers, and then you save them up.
Buy a bunch of houses. You heard it here first. True Blue's giving you real estate investment advice. Maybe not.
That's why you come here, guys.
No financial advice here, but yeah, buy a house with an 8 with lots of 8s in it.
Yeah, don't go to Dane and Corey for your real estate advice, guys. Come on. We're over
That's
here.
it. It's simple as that. We just solved the riddle. Okay, so DJ, I just go through these chats real quick. DJ is back. He's just gone to the 4th floor.
Yeah.
Didn't everybody also ignore the weekly close below the 21 EMA at the top of the last bull market? Why? Yeah, that's so true, Bitfinesse. Look, I hate to say that, man, but I talked about that last week where I was like, you know, the weekly close below the 20-week simple moving average. And then I was like, well, what if I make it the 21-week exponential moving average? Then maybe, and it was like, it was still way below it. And I was like, damn. Yeah. So it's funny because you know it and you think, oh, well, you know, bull market over. But then when you see it, you go, nah. No way.
Euphoria, disbelief. Yeah, that's probably.
We even had the euphoria. That's the sad part. So it's when you look at it, you just go, no way. Maybe if you're in Solana. I mean, when I saw that happening to the Solana chart, I was like, yeah, the guy tattooed his head. You know, Solana on the forehead. What's the answers? Having boxing match, like some of these talking points. You know, and then also the Sol ETH ratio looked like it was breaking down. It's like, you know, Solana's going to go into a downtrend, but then Bitcoin did it and ETH did it as well. And then all of a sudden I was like emotional going, nah, it's not the end.
Yeah, that's it.
And then I started, so that's the interesting thing. Then I started looking up that pi cycle top indicator.
Yeah.
As cope. And I was like, you know, but technically the pi cycle top is when the, you know, whatever this is, it's the 111-day moving average and the 300 and the multiple of the 350-day moving average. But basically where they cross over is where it's picked the top, like pretty damn close, like to within 3 days, I think. And I was like, look, they haven't crossed over. So it's not the end. It's not the end. But exactly. Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? So good point there, Bitfinesse. What else? Don't mention the war. Yeah, probably a good idea. They always say, you know, you don't talk about politics and religion, but I do both, and I just
We've
make
done
people
both
upset.
This stream.
I know, I just get people upset.
Religion. Sorry, guys.
That's it. Don't talk about religion or politics, or do it both in the same show, and then just watch everyone just get really annoyed at you.
Yeah, it's definitely not financial advice. That's the main thing we don't talk about.
Yeah. Like there's disclaimers at the start, and that's about it for me.
That's it.
So, all right. I didn't realize I even had this up because I was looking at the comments, but yes, let's just quickly have a look at these charts. Oh, maybe I should do some sort of intro.
Do it.
Up. I'm getting bored of that last one. Let's do this one.
Pump, what? Price go up. Guess that's just your luck. Sold at the bottom of life, you gotta learn how to hold on to whatever money you're gonna earn and not get shaken out when they run the stuff. Although it tends to pretend that the dips and the bends, you know the trend is your friend all the way to the end. So I buy that fucking dip. Yeah, buy that fucking dip.
All right, there you go. There's a
awesome.
new one there.
I love it.
Let's look at some TAs real quick. We've been going for an hour and a half exactly, and I think we can just race through this real quick. But let me know if you've got to go.
We'll give it 5 minutes, eh? Let's do a 5-minute TA with Doz.
You don't need to spend a lot of time on this stuff. Like, let's just keep it real. So let's just look. We talked about Bitcoin. We talked about Ethereum. A lot of these charts look very similar. The only ones I think that we sort of were mildly interested in that were like, I think Ton and Cas, they don't have that same breakdown where they're closing below the 20 MA.
Gosh, that's holding up all right, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And then even Tron has actually surprisingly been looking pretty good lately. But they're sort of more like the larger cap coins.
Yeah.
Feel free to put them in the chat. That's the point of this section is to try to get, adoption and things and trying to get people to participate. So if you've got tickers, stick them in the chat and then we can chart them real quick. But yeah, in terms of PulseChain and so Tangang coins, I noticed that, so OMG, Orange Man Good, you were saying that there's the Trump thing coming up. There's he's going to be doing a Bitcoin conference. So we might be seeing a little bit of a pump off that in the last 24 hours, 19%. It still hasn't closed above that 20 MA. So in terms of, being out of this downtrend, but it certainly is looking a lot better.
Cool.
We sort of called that crossing over and going below that support at sort of 0.466, and now it's at 0.29. So that's interesting. Dick with Butt, similar thing, still downtrend, haven't closed above the 20. Oh, we did briefly, and then it went straight back under.
Yeah.
So maybe it's actually getting rejected off that that was support, is now resistance at 5.086. So that's Dick with Butt. HOA, man, this has got the golden arches look about it. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
These guys need to get this back above the 20 MA, at least on the daily. Teddy Bear.
Yeah, I'm interested in the Teddy Bear. I sort of feel like Teddy Bear, HOA, and DWD.
A lot of these things wrecked.
That one looks more wrecked, as
Teddy Bear is wrecked as well. Like, it depends. You listen to Moon King and these guys, it's all sunshine and rainbows, but no,
I don't listen to Moon King.
No, neither do I.
Just putting it out there. Yeah.
But so it has closed above the 20 though. You got to say that on the daily it has closed above the 20. So maybe that could be starting a bit of but there is resistance here. So interesting to see that. That's on the 4 hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the daily doesn't look much better. I just clicked on Teddy Bear because it came up, but I was actually looking at the Tangang coins. Well, that doesn't really matter. Let's look at Pico. So this is Pico to Pico, the Sommy's one. It's not technically a Tangang one either, but it actually had held up really well. And then now you're starting to see that crossover and the price is below both. I'd like to see that at least on the daily close above the 20. SolidX, I think it's just been going sideways. It's been sideways and down for a long time. It's really not doing anything.
I think it's been. Have you got the Firewhale's address there? I'm just interested to see if it's being held up. I know. So I guess you'd call co-founder of that. Who's helping the Firewhale out is Randy Hilarski. He's doing a bit of trade or swapping, trying to level things out between the Nope token and SolidX. So he's trying to do some benevolent type trading between them.
Yeah. But the problem is I heard that Nope token was given out to Randy's, paid group or whatever. So I like Randy, But
yeah.
if Nope guys are getting a whole bunch of this stuff, Nope token on in the pay group, then
They
I just don't
were.
like that.
They were.
Oh,
yeah.
they were. Okay.
Yeah, at the beginning, it was I think you got 100,000 per month that you were in, and that was at about the, I don't know, it was like the 10-month mark or something. Yeah. So,
and a pay, and I'm not a huge fan of participating in coins where people got free.
yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
I think there is some advantages of the Note coin, whatever, being bonded in liquidity to SolidX and this sort of stuff.
Yeah, just to be a smart ass on that comment, did Bitcoiners not get X for free?
X for free, yeah, and I hope they're all out. Fuck those guys. I hope, because they all got it for free and they all dumped it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So I hope they're all out now.
Yeah.
Although there probably is some OG Bitcoiners in the Hex community that just retained it, but we won them over. That's the thing.
That's it.
So this was the firewall address I put in. It looked like he bought it up at the start.
Yeah.
Tried to buy it back again.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember that
Then
one.
he hasn't bought it back since. But he could have been using different wallets, mind you.
Yep.
But his main
interesting.
firewall one hasn't bought since.
I don't think that game's out yet.
May.
That Crash game. So there's a bit of bullish talk about that coming out that's tied to SolidX, but see what happens.
I don't know much about that, but yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so I think we talked about Pika. Let's look at Chetan, Peach, and the G'day token. Old mate Gillespie. That was a good stream last week. I really enjoyed that.
It was really good. Yeah, listen back over it, and man, and some of the stuff Tom says, it's like, is he taking the piss or isn't he? Like sometimes you have to stop and think, and it's like, hang on, is he being serious or not? Because of his humor, it gets me going. I like his sort of dry, sarcastic humor. That's how I roll as well. So I really enjoy his sort of talk. It's good.
Yeah, he's everything he says is I think his tongue in cheek. You've got to take a little bit of a grain of salt with what he's saying, because that's his humor. Like that's what he's trying to do. So I just noticed Fast Abdul, what are you maniacs doing? It's 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Not everyone lives in the US, bro. Like it's literally the middle of the day where I am. So on the other side of the planet.
But if he comes on with us one day, he'll be no doubt it'll be midnight and he'll be wearing his suit. So he'll put in the work.
Yeah, I was going to say you're welcome to come on and just shoot the shit and say hello and give us a brief rundown of your 2 fucks protocol. Yeah. But yeah, at 1 a.m. he's probably got his fluffy slippers on, ready for bed. So yeah, I think basically Chetan looks pretty wrecked. Sorry to say. Peach, oh my God, like there's nothing much I can say until these start making higher highs. And
is it on log?
20. It's not. Yeah, but this is all right. Yeah, I mean, Hexagons have done this for a long time, and good log, bro, and look at
doesn't
this.
do much.
We're still in profit. Yeah, how many people caught this week? I bought Peach when it was in the first hour when it came out.
Yeah.
No, look, to be fair, I probably sold it in profit, so I shouldn't complain. And they wouldn't like to hear that either. But
should be LPing it, mate. Come on.
I should have LP'd
You know the rules. You know the rules.
Kicked me out of the gang. No, gang.
Yeah.
Look, in all seriousness, I'll just say it's great in theory if you can get people to do that, and I really commend people to be able to do that, sell through liquidity. But you have to allow that the market is not going to always do what you want. So, and if a coin can't handle people selling, then it is what it is. Like I'm unapologetic about that. Yeah. It would be great, but my position is not large enough that it's going to do that to the chart.
No, that's
right. So I understand. Probably should be LP if I'm selling, but sometimes you don't have the time for it, and then that's an argument that I could have with people if they wanted to, but I don't want to step up to cookies in some sort of like debate there. But I think he would understand that a free market and if a coin is strong, it should be able to withstand people selling even without the LP side of things.
Yep.
But you know, I've got no leg to stand on, because you know my favorite coins like X and Pulse have got a wreck chart, so I can't really you know get on my high horse or whatever. But I do like the Tangent coins when they're pumping.
That's for sure.
And so they do really well, particularly when you start pricing some of these things, you know, in PLS, in the attempt to get more PLS at the end. So yeah, just before we wrap this up, I guess I just wanted to quickly, for my own benefit, look at the hex pulse ratio. So hex priced in terms of pulse. And it's really just range bound, isn't it? Between that 100 and 140. So it's at 120 pulse per hex at the moment. And so I guess you could look at the other one in terms of like farming. I think is really interesting is the ink PLS.
Yep.
So if you price ink in terms of PLS, yeah, that's pretty much just going sideways.
It's pretty good for farming. Yeah, that's
a good in terms of impermanent loss. That's a good farm to be in, and it looks like it's just sitting on support there. So yeah, that's really interesting. Look, there was a couple of meme coins and things. These are the PRC20s. See, they're actually all on a tear, really, because they're bouncing back after getting hammered during the week.
It's all in the green at the moment, isn't it? Yeah.
So they're probably just getting dragged up by Pulse as well.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of other meme coins as well on like other chains that I think were doing okay, but I think Pepe was not one of them. It's down 6% for the day. Prices below the 20. They've crossed over. It looks like a bit of a downtrend. Brett. This is on base. I think the Tangent have just launched a coin on base, by the way.
Yeah.
Melon Musk or something.
Yeah, that's the one. Melon Musk. Yeah. It's funny name. Yeah.
It's pretty funny. So Brett, similar deal. It's broken down. Man, a lot of these charts don't look great. Like, you know, you got to say, I heard about this Pepe coin, which is like Pepe, but maybe Chinese Pepe. I don't know, man. I think
that's hilarious.
This is just probably gone on a run, and it's probably going to get hammered. But
it'll hammer down. Yeah. I think it's
anyway,
just how it all is. We just sit tight and don't be. Yeah, I mean, it's probably a good time to be getting in, but yeah, those ones that are running up, I reckon they're going to either hold or get hammered back down, like you said, because sentiment's low and all that. We'll see.
It's a real interesting time there, and there was no tickers in the chat there, so that's why I couldn't. I just went through some random ones, but it's at a really interesting time because it almost feels like a bit of a crossroads, like what Bitfinesse was saying. You know, we've seen it cross below the 21 EMA on the weekly, but we're just sort of ignoring that. Like we're seeing Bitcoin effectively start a downtrend and getting rejected off that 200-day moving average, and we're just sort of hoping and saying, no, it's all going to be back next week when Ethereum ETF.
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, the nah. Sorry, you got me.
Nah. But yeah, maybe we need an Aussie one that's called nah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
But yeah, so if you're looking from that Bitcoin point of view, it looks like we're going to a downtrend. But then from a PulseChain point of view, you know, PulseChain has been in a downtrend for ages while Bitcoin's been going up. Now, all of a sudden, it looks like PulseChain looks like it may have bottomed.
Yeah. So,
you know, I've talked about what I'm looking forward to seeing that confirmation, but it could be that this is, you know, a bottom for PulseChain. And then by proxy, all the assets on PulseChain as well. So once PulseChain's bottomed, all the other assets effectively bottom as well. But I'll look forward to seeing those confirmations. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
Not really. One thing, and I know a lot of people go back to like what Somi says and stuff like that, and I haven't done it yet, so I'm going to do it this time. I think one thing we've all got to remember is that the ETH is there, and he's mentioned that. But what I think, it's not so much about like, oh, that it's going to come in. It's that, or when it is, but it's like we've seen it move. We've seen some swaps and seen some activity there. So that means that benevolent wallet is probably ready to do something, and is probably not allowed to, but, you know, is gearing up to possibly do it, because we've seen that move. So, and I'm not saying when, it could be in 5 years, it could be, you know, whatever, but it's there and it's usable because there's been action on that wallet. So that's all. I just think that's a cool thing to remember in the back of your mind. That yeah, it has had activity, which means it could do something.
Yeah,
what it does,
it's not.
Yeah,
it's not dependent on like the SEC case, for example. Like it
exactly,
has those funds around, so
Yeah.
that's encouraging. The question is, you know, will those OA wallets only deploy more ETH once it gets above its cost basis, which was, you know, 3,700, 3,800. So, and then at what price? Will it just wait till $7,000, or will it do it at $4,000, and or what?
So it could be ages, and it could be waiting for Louis Vuitton to accept Ethereum too. We don't know, you know. Who knows? Who knows?
Oh,
but
man.
I reckon we've got a chance. So it's just all about
the idea. And that you could front run those wallet buyers, effectively. Because if you wait for those wallet buyers, it would be too late, like you would think. So you know, maybe, and you know, he certainly hinted that this could be a bottom as well with that tweet we talked about earlier, the 369 thing. So. And the SEC weekly close. So yeah, look, there's a lot of potential bullishness. I'm just waiting for confirmations in the charts, but you know, always kind of thinking that you know, trust in Richard in a sense, because I think he is in it for glory. I think he is, you know, this isn't the end of his story. I feel like this is just, you know, this is just the character arc. And it's just, you need that sort of the hero's arc to come back. He's not just going to let it go out like this. So we can wait and see what happens and watch the fireworks. It's just a matter of time.
Exactly. Are they your final words, or have you got more?
Nah, that's it, mate. I'm going to head to the gym. Let's wrap it.
All right, get the guns out. Have fun.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Rock and roll. Thanks, guys. Thanks, chat. Thanks, Replay Gang and the Twitter bots. Always appreciate everyone, and of course yourself, True Blue.
Cheers,
DJ Creditas, and 43. Thanks, guys. Cheers. Have a good weekend.